Let's go through what a year in the vineyard looks like. Many vineyards these days are still managed and maintained by hand. Unless you have a sprawling commercial vineyard, most tasks throughout the year are not mechanized. They take time, attention, and a lot of training, and the vineyard gets a personal touch over and over and over and over. So remember that when you're drinking your next glass of wine. Somebody really wants you to enjoy that glass. We'll start in the spring. The growing season begins with bud break. Bud break is when young greenery erupts from the buds and the growing season officially has started. Here's a preview of some early pictures in the vineyard right after bud break. You can see a nice progression on the same vine here. Next up comes shoot thinning and trunk stripping. These are on the same slide because they usually happen at the same time. Shoots are inspected for bearing fruit. If the shoot is not bearing fruit or there are too many, some of them may be removed. This allows the canopy to get better sun exposure and a lot better air, which is important for keeping the vine dry and disease-free. At the same time, trunks are stripped of shoots. These trunks are unnecessary. In the next slide is a short video made on Instagram of this process. It's a short video, but you can at least get the idea of what that job looks like. Jobs like these inspire quite a bit of innovation for us. The especially tough part about this job is leaning over again and again to strip those trunks. It's important to do, but it's pretty backbreaking. So as you can see, this is one of our solutions. We've strapped a bucket to a skateboard and we slide through the vineyard sideways. That's actually one of my favorite innovations yet. Pretty proud of that one. Next comes flowering. Most cultivated grapevines are hermaphroditic. Grapevines will self-pollinate. Pollen from the stamen fertilizes the ovaries and voila, you've got a grape. After flowering is fruit set. The fertilized flower develops a seed and around it a grapeberry to protect itself. Fruit set is when the flower clusters begin to look like tiny green grape clusters. And you can see them hiding behind the leaves in this picture. And here we are in summer. In summer we start doing some shoot positioning and training. Shoots will grow willy-nilly. Remember, what they're trying to do is reach the top of a tree to get to the top of the canopy. Shoots are positioned in a trellis system to maximize sun exposure for higher sugar production and to protect the shoots from disease. Shoots won't necessarily just grow because you want them to, they have to be trained. Shoot positioning is training the shoots up into the trellis, and it's important for a healthy canopy. Next over the summer is crop estimates. Over the growing season, vineyard managers can get accurate crop estimates, usually calculated in tons per acre, by counting the grape clusters and extrapolating data from the previous year's cluster weights. This is helpful to know if you are undercropping or overcropping. Overcropping is when there is too much fruit on the vine and it threatens the health of the vine. We want to stress a vine, but we don't want to kill it. Taking too much energy in the form of grape clusters from the vine and soil is detrimental to the winemaking process. It can actually also be a problem because the vines may not be able to ripen all that fruit. There's a very specific ratio and balance to how many leaves a shoot has per cluster. Overcropping can be fixed by dropping clusters if you catch it early enough. Undercropping is simply not getting good value out of your hard work in the vineyard by not having enough fruit on the vines. It's not a good return on your investment. Unfortunately, there's also no way to get clusters back after you've dropped them, so you can't fix undercropping. Dropping fruit allows you to control an appropriate crop load in your vineyard. Literally all you do is go through at this stage in the vine, cut it off and let it fall to the ground. Hedging may be necessary later in the summer if the canopy is growing out of its trellis or becoming unwieldy. This is especially if the vines are growing vigorously, as you can see in this picture, or you just have a certain trellis system that requires it. Leaf pulling is very important in the summer. With most training systems, it's important to take time to pull those leaves that are closest to the fruit off of the shoot. That exposes the fruit to the air and sunlight, but not too much, and the timing has to be right. Wind and sun is important for keeping the fruit dry and clean, and all while assisting with ripening. Grapes can actually get sunburned if they've already matured quite a bit and then you rip all the leaves off. It's like getting a sunburn at the beach as opposed to a tan. And here we have veraison. Veraison is a sign that the grape clusters are getting pretty close to the last stages of ripening. If they're red grapes, they change color from green to red, as you can see in this picture. Veraison is a little harder to notice in white varietals. If they're white grapes, they change from green to a yellow or golden color. At this point, anthocyanins, which are color compounds, are developing in the grape skins. These are the same compounds that contribute to color in the wine. Here we are in beautiful fall. In the fall, as ripening continues, growers will be sampling and tasting their grapes constantly to make sure they pick at the perfect time. Deciding when to pick is extremely important. A lot of times we're waiting until the last minute. We want that perfect fruit, but usually it's pushing up against some pressure on the other side, whether that's bad weather or pests in the vineyard, you never know. It's always a bit of a dramatic time. When we're sampling, we're tasting a lot, we're getting sugar levels, pH, and total acidity as well. At this point, the vineyard manager and the winemaker work closely together to decide when it's right to make the best wine. This can be a pretty terrifying time for the staff. Terrifying and exciting at the same time. There can be drama from any number of things. Oh, there's a hurricane on the way? That's exciting. Oh, deer are eating an acre of fruit a night? That's fun. How fast can we pick it? Can we pick it overnight? Should we pick it in the day? Is it too hot in the day? Excitement and maybe some terror has reached DEFCON 1. And we've finally made it. The day is here, harvest has come. It's time to pick the grapes and begin the winemaking process, but only after enjoying a dash of fresh grape juice. This really is an exciting time. The fruits of your labor are sitting in front of you. And not only that, but it tastes delicious. After the climax of harvest in the fall comes winter. Most of winter is taken up by pruning. The leaves have fallen and all that remains attached to the vines are the canes. Canes are what we call shoots after the summer. The canes have become brittle but still have life in them. Pruning is cutting back these canes to appropriate lengths to encourage healthy growth for next year. This is an incredibly time-consuming process. It requires lots of training and lots of time to think and reflect. And there may be rules to pruning, but really it's all about exceptions. And that comes back to the training part again. It really does require a lot of training. Let me show you exactly what pruning looks like. Here's a grapevine before pruning, and you can see the shoots that have just lost their leaves. This slide is the exact same vine that's been pruned, and this has been spur pruned. That means the canes are simply cut short and a certain number of buds are left on those canes to promote growth for next year. So for example, most of these spurs have 2 to 3 buds on them. Next is the same varietal, Cab Franc, and it has been cane pruned. That means the entire cordon is cut off and a whole new cane is laid down to act as a new cordon. This is simply one method of pruning that works very well for certain varietals and for certain circumstances. So congratulations, you are ready for spring again. That concludes a year in the vineyard. All that hard work is done. Well, at least until next spring, and then it starts all over. I'm contemplating a course for growing your own backyard nano vineyard. If this sounds like an interesting subject to you, be sure to leave a comment in the discussion section. I'll try to keep everybody updated on what the time frame would look like.